everybody, welcome to the show. Around the nation right here, TYT Nation. Jeff Waldorf here with you for another exciting edition of TYT Nation. It is Wednesday already, so that's good. I have a couple announcements, of course, before I get into the show. We will not be here tomorrow. Unfortunately, I would love to be here tomorrow, but I really cannot today. I'm sorry, I cannot be there tomorrow. That sucks. So there will not be a show. So we'll be back on Friday for your normal show. We are having some. We are having an exterminator come out for a second time to the house. So that's fun. All right. Anyway, that said, we got some good news here. We're going to talk about some of the primaries. We're really going to focus on the Wisconsin primary from last night. We also have an update to a story that we did yesterday. We also have Corey Lewandowski getting punked by Sacha Baron Cohen. That's a fun story. We also have a story that was suggested by one of the viewers. We've got Denmark, the whole country, or almost the whole country of Denmark going after a Fox News host. Fun times. So that is a great story. That's a fun story. I cannot wait to do that. So that's what we've got going on today. So before we get into it, please give us a like and a share. That helps out greatly. And also consider using the super chat to send your comments or your questions or story suggestions or anything you'd like. Jeff will read whatever you put in the prompter. Sad, or I'll answer any questions in the prompter. Whatever, right? So do that, because that ultimately that helps keep us on the air. Your guys and your donations. So also patreon.com/TYTNation. That also helps keep us on the air. Okay. Anyway, let's roll into the first story. Let's talk some primary news. So last night we had a primary in several states, including Vermont, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. Now in Vermont, there's actually some pretty good results. You had one, which was a little-known senator by the name of, hold on here, let me check my notes. Bernie Sanders. I've never heard of that guy. He won with over 90% of the vote. I believe it was 94% I saw somewhere. Huh. Oh, well, no, wait a minute here. I'm reading here that he's not even a Democrat. Weird. And yet somehow he won overwhelmingly. I know, of course, it's because that state is super white. And would never elect somebody who is not a white male. Oh, actually, no, turns out there's a transgender woman that just won the primary for governor. Oops. Now, not only that, you had somebody named Keith Ellison, who was a Muslim, winning re-election in Minnesota. Both, of course, are apparently very strong incumbents. But the real news here is that Justice Democrats and our Revolution candidates actually had a pretty good night last night. Now, of course, Politico is right on this. They're actually writing an article right now titled, "Bernie's Revolution is Falling Apart." But seriously. So in these primaries, you had actually a really interesting one in Wisconsin. Now, Wisconsin, I'm going to focus on that because in that race, you actually not only had one, but two really strong progressives running for the chance to take Paul Ryan's seat. Now, Paul Ryan, of course, is somebody that I'm not a fan of. Now, these progressives in the race, you had Kathy Myers. Now, Kathy Myers is a school board member and a teacher, and she ran on a very strong platform that was very progressive. $15 minimum wage, Medicare for all that stuff. So, again, strong progressive platform. Wonderful. I love it. And then on the other side, you also had Randy Bryce. Now, Randy Bryce is known as Iron Stash. You got to love that, right? Now, Bryce is a Justice Democrat, so that means no corporate PAC money. And, of course, was also endorsed by Bernie Sanders. But like I said, they were both great candidates, and they ended up slugging it out in actually a pretty heated primary. Now, according to Vox, Bryce, the populist ironworker and union organizer, did beat out Kathy Myers in the district's bitter Democratic primary battle on Tuesday. Now, the race was called with 68% of precincts reporting, and Bryce ended up leading by over 20 points. He will now face Republican Brian Steele. You've got iron versus steel, who was a well-known local business executive with Paul Ryan's endorsement in November. So you have somebody who's running with Bernie Sanders' endorsement and another person who's running with Paul Ryan's endorsement. That's interesting. So you've got the ideas of Paul Ryan being pit against the ideas of Bernie Sanders in November. And again, that would have happened if Kathy Myers had won too, because she also had a strong progressive populist background. So again, even though it was a bitter primary, I actually think that both candidates were actually fantastic. So I would have been happy with either result. But here we have Iron Stash, who already has a national profile. Now, that could help him, but there are also some things that can hurt him, and I'll get into that. So, for one, as I said before, this race is really interesting because both are incredibly progressive. Number two, Bryce actually got a lot of money due to a brilliant ad he ran against Paul Ryan. Now, he didn't take corporate PAC money. Myers also does not take corporate PAC money. So here you have two uncorrupted candidates versus somebody who is likely going to be very corrupted in November with Republican PAC money, right? Now, the thing is, Bryce got national attention early on for an ad he ran against Paul Ryan. And, of course, that ended up netting him millions of dollars in small donations, which actually is a good thing because money actually really did help in this race. And the great thing is that the money didn't come from, corporate PACs. It actually came from both of, from the people. Now, number three, Paul Ryan, rather than defending his seat, is now stepping down. Now, that actually could have taken the wind out of Bryce's campaign sails. And that's why the primary didn't get a lot of attention. But that also provides an opportunity. So Paul Ryan would have been a powerful incumbent to beat. Now you're not going to have that. So no national platform, at least not as big of a national platform as had before if you're going to go against Paul Ryan. But it opens up the opportunity because the Cook Political Report is now rating the race R+5. So it leans Republican, which means it has the potential of basically flipping. So now Hillary Clinton, for example, lost the district by 11 points back in 2016, and Obama lost it by 5 in 2012. However, Obama did win the district by 3 in 2008. So there is a possibility of a win. Now, the thing is, this primary actually got pretty messy, as they sometimes do. For one, Bryce had been delinquent on child support and had been arrested for a DUI and past marijuana use. Now, look, the pot thing, I don't really care about that. Really, I don't think a lot of people care about that, but some might. Now, the DUI and the child support, that could be a problem. Me, personally, I'm a bit more forgiving about things like that. I mean, people make mistakes. People do bad things. And really, that kind of shows you that Bryce, you can't argue that he's not a regular human being. And let's be honest, here we have human beings that are, of course, not perfect. Now, I don't fault Myers for being able to attack on that because, I mean, when you think about it, they both have a pretty similar platform. So how are you going to differentiate between them? So, but nonetheless, I wish they had both run a more positive race. And I am kind of concerned that because of how negative the primary was, I mean, look, people might tune out due to the negativity. Still, again, I would have loved to have seen both of them work together afterwards. And so I don't know if that's going to happen. I think the most important thing that they should work on together is policy, if that's even possible. I hope so. Because to me, wouldn't it be great to have a real, regular human being, a working class person who believes in Medicare for all, free college, and a living wage, take over the seat for Paul Ryan? I think it'd be great. Okay. Let's move on. Okay. So here's an update to the story of Melissa Howard. Now, Melissa Howard is a GOP candidate who faked her diploma and got caught. So what's the update? Down goes Howard. Down goes Howard. Now, it's being reported that she has now dropped out of the race for Florida's 73rd district, telling the Sarasota Herald Tribune by email that withdrawing from the district race was, quote, the right thing to do. You know what? This is basically the only thing to do. She wrote, quote, I made a terrible error in judgment. I'm thankful for everyone who gave so much towards my success, and I am deeply sorry. So deeply sorry. Now, look, as far as apologies go, not bad. Not bad. In fact, you could have had one of those non-apologies, which she had actually had before. But anyway, Sarasota County GOP Chairman Joe Gruters thought Howard made the right decision, according to the Associated Press, and he said, quote, I think she saved the party and community a lot of heartache. I hope she gets the help she needs. Oh, that's devastating. Then again, of course, who not only lies about their educational background, but when they are caught, doubles down. Like, who does that? After Howard showcased a questionable degree from Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, in a Twitter post on Friday, a spokeswoman for the college told HuffPost that the diploma seen in photos, quote, does not appear to be an accurate Miami University diploma. Basically, it's a fake. It's a fake. Look, again, you all kind of knew that I was going to say that. But anyway, she dropped out. And that, again, that is the right thing to do. That is the only thing to do. But that might not be the end of her troubles. It looks like there are some consequences for lying. I know, right? Lock her up. Lock her up. Lock her up. Now, let me tell you the details on that. Florida law considers it a misdemeanor to misrepresent someone's association with or status at a post-secondary educational institution by falsely making, altering, simulating, or forging a document, degree, certificate, diploma, award, letter, transcript, form, or other paper. So basically, if you try to forge a signature like what she did on that diploma, you're in trouble. And you face not serious repercussions, but some repercussions. In fact, Donna Hayes, a former chair of the Manatee GOP, sent a letter on Monday to Florida Department of Law Enforcement Commissioner Rick Swearingen and 12th Judicial Circuit State Attorney Ed Brodsky, accusing Howard of committing a crime. In which, yes, she did commit a crime. Now, look, it's a misdemeanor. I was kidding when I said lock her up, lock her up. So, likely no jail time, right? However, she should face some consequences. I don't know what those consequences would be for that crime. But look, to give Florida Republicans some credit, they are actually looking on doing it. Again, here you have a former GOP chair saying, this person actually committed a crime. Yes. Turns out, lies have consequences. Who knew? Okay. All right. Let me take a quick break here. We'll come back. We've got more stuff. We'll talk about Corey Lewandowski, Denmark, which is, again, a fun story. So stay right here, and we'll be right back. Around the Nation. Everybody, welcome back to the show. Around the Nation right here, TYT Nation. Jeff Waldorf here with you. Let's hit into more stories here. Like Lewandowski. That's fun. According to Lewandowski, thinks that you should respect white supremacists. Oh, that's interesting. Now, on a recent episode of Sacha Baron Cohen's Who is America, talking about the Unite the Right to rally, which was both sad and pathetic in both numbers and reasoning, Lewandowski decided to say this.
I'm here with Kari Lewandowski. He was the campaign manager for President Donald J. Trump. I want to say with Charlottesville, where people attacked our president, why should the president pick a side between anti-fascists and fascists? He's the president of all people.
There is a place and a time to disagree with people everywhere, okay? You don't have to agree with people. Well, you have to respect them, and you can't be attacking them.
You can't be attacking honest fascist people who just want to express their right to start a genocide. That is their right.
That is their right. I love that character that Sacha Baron Cohen is playing. But what's more important, of course, is what Lewandowski had actually said. Oh, no. See, you have to respect white supremacists. You have to respect the neo-Nazis, the Klan, all the people that were marching in Charlottesville. No, you don't. No, I don't agree with that at all. While it's true that you cannot physically attack them, and I definitely do not encourage that. I do not encourage violence. You also don't have to respect them. And the fact that they continue to argue that the president should not have to pick a side between fascists and anti-fascists is absolutely absurd. We're having a debate about the rights of fascists in this country, in America, right? I have to remind you that America, we didn't like fascists. We don't like fascism here in America. In fact, we teamed up with communists in order to fight the fascists. That's how much we don't like fascism. Okay? So, but now we have a president, and this is the difference between then and now. We have a president that says, oh, no. When it comes to fascists versus anti-fascists, well, there's good people on both sides. No, there is no such thing as a good fascist. Let's go back to the original Unite the Right rally, right? Where there was a lot of violence, in which somebody was murdered, Heather Heyer. Now, one of these, neo-Nazis took their car and they ran into a group of people. They killed Heather Heyer. They tried to kill other people. There was a lot of violence at that rally. And that's what I'm saying. That's why you don't have to respect them, right? You do not have to respect that point of view. No, can't do it. The fact that Lewandowski is so tepid on this, saying that, no, all we have is this, we just have an honest disagreement, that's all. No, it's ridiculous. Honest disagreement would be something like, I think taxes should be a little bit lower on people making more money because I think that they create jobs. Well, we can have an honest disagreement on that because I don't agree with that. Not an honest disagreement is not, oh, we should get rid of black people and Mexicans and don't forget maybe the Jews. These same people chanted blood and soil and Jews will not replace us. These are neo-Nazis. These are fascists. These are not fine people. They're not good people. And if you think that they are, or their ideas should be elevated and respected, no, we're going to have to disagree on that one. So, again, props to Sacha Baron Cohen for basically getting them to admit what they actually believe. That that, you know what, fascists, neo-Nazis, the Klan, they're fine. You don't have to agree with them, but you have to respect them. Not at all. Not true. Even the ACLU, which, of course, fought for the right for the Klan to be able to march and to do their protest, even they likely don't respect them. So respect and allowing them to do their actual constitutional rights to protest are completely two different things and should not be conflated. Okay. So, now that that's clear, let's move on. Let's go to Denmark, where something is apparently not rotten. Now, recently, Fox Business host Trish Regan made the unfortunate mistake of comparing Denmark to Venezuela. Fascinating. Now, when of course talking about how terrible socialism is, which, by the way, Denmark is not actually socialist, she cited a bunch of facts and statistics in order to make her case against pretty much higher wages, free college, Medicare for all. Let's watch.
Venezuelans are losing on average 24 pounds a year from starvation. And almost 90% of the country is now living in poverty. But you know what? Democrats say we're not talking about Venezuela when they talk about socialism. They say, how can you possibly talk about Venezuela? We're talking about Denmark. But you know what? As Shakespeare said, there's something rotten in Denmark. Denmark too, folks, because Denmark's freebies, well, they're anything but free. Let's talk about this because we're talking about a tax rate, a federal tax rate of 56%. In other words, everyone in Denmark is working for the government. And this doesn't even include the 25% value-added tax. That, everything else there costs 25% more. Or gosh, I mean, take a look at cars. They have a 180% tax on cars. You pay more in taxes than you do on the actual car.
Oh my God. Taxes. There's something rotten in Denmark, and it's taxes. No, you realize that that's not the actual Shakespeare quote. And again, they're not actually a socialist country. Where did you get that idea? That's insanity. Look, now here's the thing about that, right? Now, she actually did cite the correct tax rate, 56%, right? Now, this whole idea of, well, everybody's working for the government. No, that's not true. I don't even know what that means. Okay. Well, here's the thing on that, right? So Danes do pay the highest tax rate in the world. Now, that car tax, that seems pretty ridiculous to me. But then again, I'm used to living in America where we don't have high taxes, especially for rich people, but also if you're poor or lower middle class, which I've been pretty much my entire life, we don't pay a lot of high taxes. So I guess I can understand why they trot these numbers out and say, look at the high taxes. Yeah, but what do you pay for that? What do you actually get for that? Well, you actually get a lot, and that's why a lot of Danes don't actually mind paying these taxes. In fact, writing in 2016, Chief Executive Officer of the Happiness Research Institute, I'm going to get this name wrong, Mike Wicking, says, quote, "We're not paying taxes. We are investing in our society. We are purchasing quality of life." Now that framing, I like. That is a vastly different framing than we have in America. Because in America, basically they look at taxes as, well, we're basically stealing money for you, from you to give to other people, to give to those people or lazy people. When in reality, most of our tax money actually goes into defense, into the defense industry, into defense contractors, right into their pockets. Now, our right-wing politicians do spin it as your money's going to lazy people, when really, it actually does go to lazy people, millionaires and billionaires, in the form of gigantic tax cuts. Not only that, but we've got corporate welfare up the ass. So that money, I can understand people being like, well, why do I want the government to take more of my money when they're just going to give it to millionaires and billionaires and corporations? It's not being spent on us. And so we actually have to fix that. Now, Denmark is different because they actually do spend money on their own people and not multinational corporations and wealthy people. So, in fact, Weeking says, I'm so sorry about these names, man. He said the Danish welfare model provides opportunities for its citizens to pursue their happiness from advanced starting positions, disregarding economic, social, gendered, and cultural backgrounds. Advanced starting positions, as opposed to the United States, when only really wealthy people have advanced starting positions, and everybody else, depending on your socioeconomic status and the family that you grow up in, race and demographics, can start either way behind or at some sort of, middle of the road starting line where it could go either way. And the thing is that here in America, like progressives in America, we actually just want opportunity. We want equality of opportunity. And when you start everybody out at the same advanced level, then everybody has an equal chance for that opportunity. Now, the question is here, right? When you look at the facts and statistics, are they actually doing a good job? Are these programs effective at giving people a head start? I mean, look, conservatives here in America look at our war on poverty and they think, oh, failure. It's an absolute failure because we still got poverty. We also have incredibly low social mobility, and yet we balk at the idea of properly funding these programs. But the question is, does it work in Denmark? Actually fully funding these things like single-payer health care, free college, and even free college with a stipend. Well, apparently Denmark consistently rates higher than on the U.S. on social mobility. And as one report had concluded, quote, "You are much more likely to achieve the American dream if you live in Denmark." Fascinating. But of course, there's more from Trish. We're not done with her yet.
And no one wants to work. This is a real problem because they're heavily in debt. But as of 2013, only 3 of the country's 98 municipalities actually had more than half the population working.
Okay, a couple things there. For one, no, they're actually not heavily in debt. Denmark has a surplus. I don't know if you know that. It actually has a surplus because they actually do collect taxes, which in America, we give tax cuts like they're candy, especially to people who are rich. But anyway, she said nobody wants to work. Look, as of 2013, only 3 of the 98 municipalities actually had more than half the population working. So this is classic Fox News here, where they take a stat and they misrepresent it. They don't give it context. That survey that she cited actually counted old Danes. That includes children and retirees. Now, refresh my memory. Do we want children working? Like in the factories? Look, there are some Republicans out there that think that that's a great idea. Newt Gingrich thinks that poor kids should be mopping toilets at school for their, for their school lunch. But most of us in the civilized world think that children should not have to work. And so, therefore, they shouldn't actually be counted. Not only that, but retired people, right? Now, if you're retired, that means you've worked all your life, and now you've gotten to the age to where you can retire and live out the rest of your days without having to worry about your 9-to-5 job. But here's Fox News basically saying they're not working because they're lazy and want free stuff. Look at how many people are not working because of all the free shit they get. Well, most of that are children and retired people. Classic Fox News. There's more. Furthermore, the country's actual employment rate in March of 2013 was about 7.1%. Now, that sounds terrible, right? And it is fairly high. The same time at the United States. Do you think the United States was doing better at that time? No, the unemployment rate was 7.5%. Capitalism. I guess capitalism just makes people not want to work. That's what happens with capitalism. Not only that, but here's the other thing, right? And again, more tricky Fox News, stat twisting, right? She actually uses a study from 2013. Now, the reason that that's relevant is that in the 5 years since, Denmark's government has taken steps to address the issue, and unemployment rates are now currently around 4.8%. Now, of course, the United States, we're about 3.9 to 4% unemployment rate. So it is actually a little bit higher than us, but not all that excessively high. Not all that much different. Not even a full percentage point. So, and look at the quality of jobs, by the way. Donald Trump wants to sit here and tout, look at all the jobs we've created with the giant tax cuts for the rich. Look at all these they're tremendous jobs. Well, first off, there's actually a lot of jobs that are leaving. For example, a carrier, manufacturing job leaving. You have Harley Davidson leaving. And you have Donald Trump, weirdly enough, saying, let's boycott Harley Davidson because they're leaving. Of course, they're leaving because of the tariffs, but a lot of these corporations before celebrated getting the tax cuts. Now, what do they do with that money? Well, they put it back in their own pockets by doing stock buybacks. They just simply bought back their own stock, stuffed that money in their pockets, did not increase wages, and did not actually create more jobs. What created more jobs is more demand. People felt more, I guess, secure in the economic growth. So they purchased more, created more jobs. This basically follows up the last 93 months of job growth created during the Obama administration. Donald Trump has basically done nothing. But anyway, now, the kind of jobs that were created, by the way. Yes, we've had an increase in manufacturing jobs. Generally, that's good, but the manufacturing jobs that ended up coming back to the United States generally don't pay as much as they used to. I remember back when I was working in manufacturing back in 2004, 2005, when I was offered, when I was actually making about $13 an hour. Now, most jobs hire you in at $9 to $11 an hour. Wonderful. So that's basically the turnaround here that we've had. More jobs, less pay. In fact, pay has been stagnant. It's risen at about 2.7% over the last year, whereas inflation has risen 2.8%. So basically, all the wage gains have been wiped out. And I saw a report earlier back from April of this year showing that a lot of people were actually using their tax returns. So this is money they get back from the government from paying in. And as a result, of course, of the Trump tax cuts, they got a little bit more. They saved a little bit more money on their taxes. They use these returns mostly to fund healthcare, to go to the doctor. So they're using their checks on getting healthcare. Whereas in Denmark, they don't do that. In Denmark, even if you're not working, you're actually able to still see a doctor and even go to school and afford to go to school. In fact, this brings me to what she said about higher education in Denmark. She said, school is free, university is free. That's lovely. It's not free, it's paid for by taxes. And they have a program there. Not only do you go to school, they basically pay you $990 a month to go to school. Not bad, eh? Well, it would be nice for the millions of people who, have to choose either to go to school or to work. And because, look, a lot of people might point out, oh, but I worked, and I worked a part-time job and was still able to afford my school. Why can't these kids do it? That's because tuition has gone up over 1,000%, or some crazy statistic like that, since 1960. So the cost of education is incredibly expensive. You cannot afford to pay for school on a minimum wage part-time job. It's impossible to do. You can't even afford an apartment on a minimum wage salary. But she says, quote, you know what happens then? Nobody graduates. Really? They just stay in school longer and longer. What's supposed to be taking you 5 years is taking everyone 6+ years. Now, for one, she treats school like it's not actually work. It actually is work. And number two, look, that is actually a legitimate problem. That is one Denmark already addressed. They did something about it. In fact, in 2015, Denmark passed a law that would address the problem of people staying in school just to receive that stipend. Now, apparently, they have a government that actually tries to do things, tries to fix problems. Unlike the United States, in which nothing gets done, no problems get solved, and we actually just shovel more money towards rich people, corporations, and the military. Furthermore, well, before that, I gotta mention, did she mention any of that? Did she talk about any of that context? No, you heard her, you saw the video, right? Instead, here's what she's gonna do. She's gonna leave you with this final message. Watch.
Because that's the reality of socialism. As one person who studied Denmark said, nowadays all the kids graduating from school in Denmark, they want to start cupcake cafes. Nothing wrong with cupcakes. I think Magnolia here in New York is pretty successful. But in other words, nobody's incentivized to do anything because they're not going to be rewarded. Denmark, like Venezuela, has stripped people of their opportunities. Is that the direction that we want to go in?
Oh my God, cupcake cafes. Terrible. Wait a minute, if you start a cupcake cafe, wouldn't that be creating a business? Wouldn't you need somebody to hire somebody to make the cupcakes? That makes no sense. And not only that, but there's a lot of people in Denmark that apparently would love to have a cupcake cafe. Because apparently there is a dearth of cupcake cafes in Denmark. So that's what I hear anyway. But look, basically here's the thing, right? If you watch Fox News, Denmark is basically Venezuela. That's the message that they have. Look, you can't make this up. Actually, you know what? You can. We just watched Trish Reagan basically do that. So now here we go to the response, right? So this segment airs, and of course it's international. And so people in Denmark, they watched it and they were not happy. In fact, here you have Anders Storgård, right? Now, he said, quote, "Really sad to see a video filled with lies and misconceptions from a so-called conservative. I invite you to come to Denmark and see it for yourself. I will give you a tour." Well, that sounds really nice. Now, what's interesting about Anders Storgård is he is actually president of Young Conservatives Denmark. He's a conservative. And he's like, this is filled with lies. You are lying about what's going on here. Again, here's the thing. From my perspective, I think somebody in Denmark, or I should say, in Denmark, somebody like Bernie Sanders is basically considered a centrist, center left. That's how far the Overton window is. So there's that for context. So look, Angela Merkel, right? She's a conservative German. Nowhere near the conservatives here in America. But anyway, there's more. Klaus Bundgaard, who is apparently a television pundit, he said, "Maybe you should visit Denmark at some point. And is your lack of knowledge in general on this absurd level? Hashtag research." Well, something tells me that Trish Reagan doesn't care about research. She doesn't care about facts or logic or knowledge or anything at that point. Because basically all this is to try to, I guess, propagate lies against social programs that would hurt people that donate to Fox, to conservative politicians, right? Now, I'm going to really butcher this name, so I apologize if they're watching. Jens Vilmos says, "Dear Americans, disregard this airhead and her cherry-picked facts. Denmark is currently enjoying a 4.6% unemployment rate, an economic surplus, and far better ratings on everything from infant mortality to life expectancy. Hashtag Denmark is not perfect, but we're Fox News free. Yup. Rasmus G. Christensen says, as an actual Dane and a partner in private business, oh my God, wait, hold on. There's private business in Denmark? But I thought they were socialist, like Venezuela. Again, complete lies, fabrications from Reagan. Anyway, Rasmus continues, I can honestly say that this report has little to nothing to do with reality. True, we do have high taxes, and we do have monthly grant for students. Everything else is fiction. Steen Lorson says, a serious question from Denmark. At what point do you guys decide to act and talk like complete loons? Do you wake up in the morning thinking, today I want to make up really weird shit? Seriously, this must be an act. No, Steen, unfortunately, it is not an act. It is American conservatism. And it goes on and on and on. Just read that Twitter thread. It's amazing. Now, again, personally, I find that car tax ridiculous. And some of the taxes, look, their tax rates are pretty high compared to what we have in America. But you cannot make an argument that they don't get what they pay for. They do. They don't have to worry about a medical bill, being crushed by student loans. I mean, look, if only, right? I know people who just for medical insurance and student loans pay almost half their income. Just for those two things, not to mention the rising rents, not to mention housing costs, the impossibility of buying houses in certain areas, the rate of inflation, you have stagnation in wages, all that stuff. So who's really ahead here? Who's really got more freedom? Who's really got more economic opportunity? Now, one more thing here. Now, due to the backlash Reagan got, she later came out and said, quote, I do want to clarify my point from a segment last week on socialism. Just to be clear, I was never implying that conditions in Denmark were similar in any way to the current tragedy on the ground there in Venezuela. I was merely pointing out, using reports from The Atlantic, The Independent, and other publications, that socialism is not the way. Well, you know who would agree with you on that? Denmark. You know why? Because Denmark is not socialist. Denmark is a social democracy. They have strong private property rights, they have capitalism, and they have strong social welfare programs. They have a mixed market economy, which, yes, leans more heavily on the socialistic side, true. But in America, what we have is we lean way, I would say more than lean, but we're way in the capitalist side of a mixed market economy. We still have Medicare, which is a socialist program. We have the military, which is a socialist program. We have many different things that can be considered socialism, but we also have private property rights, free market capitalism, et cetera, right? So if anything, we're kind of a mirror image of Denmark. In America, we do have socialism. Unfortunately, a lot of that socialism is reserved for rich people, where in Denmark, it's actually a bit of the opposite. So, Reagan, get your facts right or shut up. I think that's fairly clear. Okay. Let me take a break here. We'll come back. We got more stories. So please, guys, send your super chats if you have anything to say that helps the show, or your messages, and I'll read them after the break. We'll be right back. Around the Nation. Back and around the nation right here, TYT Nation, Jeff Waldorf here with you. One more story for you guys today that I want to go through. And it is a bit disastrous, incredibly sad. So I'm just going to jump into it here in just a moment. All right. Hold. Okay. An Oklahoma school was shut down. An Oklahoma school was shut down recently over a flood of threats online towards a 12-year-old girl. Really? Now, the girl identified as only as Maddie is actually a young transgender girl who's been living openly as a female for the last 2 years. So this is a very recent thing. Now, she had made the mistake of using the girls' restroom at her new middle school. Well, let me give you her story, the details here. Now, so it's a bit of a, it's an interesting story here. Now, when she was back in elementary school, she found out that she was, realized that she was transgender, and wanted to change that, change her gender and live openly as a female. Now, when she was, in the girls' bathroom, she was accused of peeking over the bathroom stalls. Okay, look, she's a kid, right? She's a kid. She's curious. Of course, it's obviously you got to tell them, hey, that's not acceptable. People do have their private, they need their privacy and everything like that. But okay, the staff decided, well, we don't want that to happen again. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to let you use the staff bathroom. Okay, that's an acceptable solution, right? So not a bad decision at all. Now, when she started middle school on a new campus last week, what happened is she didn't know where the staff bathroom was. And so what happened is she ended up using the girls' bathroom. Now, her mother's like, oh, okay, look, she got confused. She's at a brand new school. They didn't tell her where to go in the staff bathroom or anything like that. So, and look, when you got to go, right? Now, apparently some parents found out about that and were very angry and began exchanging messages within a closed Facebook group about this girl. Now, in that group, apparently, these parents, some of them going to this who have kids that go to this middle school and live in the area, basically urged their own children to tease and even consider doing physical violence against that child. Now, the kids, of course, called her things like little half-baked maggot and the thing. Now, look, the kids, obviously the parents here, way in the wrong. Now, kids are going to be kids. Their kids are going to be cruel, right? The big problem here is the adults who are egging this on, right? Now, let me give you some examples here of how far they went against this 12-year-old. Remember, these are adults, okay? This is not the kids that are saying these next things. These are adults. And when the story, of course, went national, this is the kind of thing that we would see. One person posted online, according to local Fox affiliate KX2TV, Channel 12, said, quote, "You know we have open hunting seasons on them kind. Ain't no bag limit in them either." Open hunting season on a 12-year-old. Jesus. There's another. Said, "If he wants to be a female, make him a female. A good sharp knife will do the job real quick." Let me remind you, 12-year-old child. And here you have adults. Adults who are supposed to know better and to be better, threatening violence, physical violence and mutilation. This is absolutely disgusting. Now, again, these are online threats. Now, Rick Bean, who heads a small district in Bryan County, said there actually haven't been any problems with this girl within the 2 years, and added that some of the adults making the threats online were not even parents in the area. Now, they said, Ekeal School believes that everybody should receive a free and safe education. So in response to that, they decided that when these threats started pouring in, they had to close down the school both Monday and Tuesday for safety reasons. So look, I actually get to give props to the schools, the school here. So not only did they say, okay, we're going to make an exception for you, you can use the staff bathroom, all right? So go ahead and use the staff bathroom. That's fine. You get some privacy that way, and all that stuff. And not only that, but since we see that your safety is threatened, we are going to close the school to make sure that you are safe. Again, a lot of props to Akil School. This is an Oklahoma school, so I give them a lot of credit here. Now, Maddie's mother filed a protective order against one of the parents who made the online threats as well. So that's how bad it's gotten. Now, no arrests have been made, according to local media, who is also reporting that the FBI is investigating the threat as possible hate speech. And they should. They should take a look at it. But look, here's the thing. Here's what they're advocating for. They're advocating for mutilating a child. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable. That is all because she had the temerity to use the wrong bathroom, the so-called wrong bathroom, which actually should be the right bathroom. You're adults, man. What the hell's wrong with you? What is wrong with you if you're making threats against children? But hey, you know what? We've seen that now. For example, the Parkland kids. Now, you have adults here that are taking their pictures and shooting at them. So what we have here are adults that are acting worse than children. Worse. They're acting, I don't even know if there are harsh enough words for what they're doing. It's disgusting. And I'm sure that the comments that I read are probably not the worst. We have no respect in this country. Nothing is sacred anymore. Okay? Now adults are going after children for having a political opinion on guns. They're going after children who are transgender and threatening them with violence and mutilation and God knows what else. Death threats probably, urging their children to beat them up, do physical violence on them. For God's sakes, man, why don't we just let people be in peace, for fuck's sake? This is, again, beyond the pale. We have a country full of terrible, horrible people. Sad. Okay. That's it, man. That's all I got for you guys today. Just a reminder, no show tomorrow. Unfortunately, we will be bug bombing the house. So hopefully we can soon get back into the old studio and, you know, set everything back up, the green screen and all that stuff. And hopefully I'll be getting a new camera soon as well. So that'll be great. And it'll be thanks to you guys. So you all support the show. You fund the show. You help us be able to expand because I can't really do it on my own. So thank you, the patrons, patreon.com/TYTNation. That's how you can support the show. Also use the super chat. That helps support the show as well. So thank you. That helps us keep going and growing. All right, everybody. Thank you, guys. Love you. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, TYT Nation. We'll see you guys back here on Friday. Around the nation.